Hello, hello. I am here with Brittany Hudson today, and I'm so glad you agreed to meet me and be on my podcast. So
Yes,
welcome.
thank you. Yes, thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. And I would love for you to start out by introducing yourself.
My name is Brittany Hudson,
Mhm.
and 8 years ago, I started my business, which is called Meditating Mama. Before Meditating Mama came into existence, I um, I had started a practice of meditation when I was 17, and
Okay.
that practice came out of the fact that I was dealing with a lot of anxiety as a
Mm.
teenager. In
Yeah.
fact, if I look back, I can recall my first time experiencing emotions of anxiety at 7 years old. So
Wow.
relatively young.
Yeah.
It wasn't a constant. It was here and there.
Hmm.
It was mostly peaceful, but then there were times of anxiety,
Yeah.
uh, due to just life happening and different things, situations.
Yeah. Life
And
tends to happen. So,
yes, but I was very young, and so a few years ago, when I was given the opportunity to become certified as a mindfulness for kids teacher,
mm,
I jumped because
yes.
I was a 7-year-old with anxiety. And mindfulness for kids works with kids 5 through 11 years old. And
Yeah.
so that became super rewarding
It
because I
must
know what
be.
it's like.
Yeah.
So whenever I work with clients,
Hmm.
I always make sure to let them know, I used to be very anxious. I've had
Yeah.
anxiety on and off all my life, but there was a change. There's the mindfulness and the meditation and the practice and the becoming a teacher and a
Mm.
guide and a coach really changed my life. So now I'm turning around and helping other people change their lives to say, I was where you are and you don't have to be there anymore. The suffering isn't necessary. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so beautiful that we have experiences that while we're in the middle of them, we would rather be without. But then we come out on the other side and we find a way to use it to help others, paying the learning forward in a way that hopefully saves other people from having to take it on as hard as we did.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I also make, because a lot of times when people are experiencing, anxiety and whatever unpleasant emotions,
Mm,
they feel very, very alone. I know I did. It's not the
absolutely.
truth, but you feel like you're the only one in the
Yes.
whole wide world. But the reality is everybody in the world has at one point felt
Mm,
anxiety, even if it
yes.
was one time. But so it's just you or it's just me. It's everybody.
It's a
And
very
that is nothing to be ashamed of because we all have lots and lots of emotions in our body. We
yeah,
prefer the happy and we prefer the calm and we prefer the peaceful and we
absolutely.
prefer all the emotions that feel really good and really nice in our bodies.
Mm,
But then we become like maybe afraid or embarrassed to talk about when we're not feeling perfectly happy, perfectly peaceful,
yeah.
perfectly calm.
We tend to think of those feelings as wrong, that there's
Yes,
something wrong with us, or we did something wrong to feel like
correct,
this. Mm,
correct, yeah. And so I find that when I'm working with clients and they can relate to me, then they can feel more at peace with me and more comfortable with me because they can say, "Oh, you used to be like how I'm feeling."
yes,
And
absolutely.
so it's like, we're in the same boat together. You're not alone. I'm here too.
Yeah.
And
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 sometimes
also Yeah, to
Sorry.
explain to them also, no, that's okay, that, that they are not alone in the process.
Sometimes even just that is so healing in itself, isn't it? To
Yes.
to be with another person, either in person or just having a connection with someone who sees you and knows where you are and how it feels to be you in that experience.
Yes.
Yeah. How long ago or when did you realize that being highly sensitive is a thing that fits your experience?
So, like I said, when I was 17 years old
Mm-hmm.
and experiencing my anxiety, I had a next door neighbor, and she was a yoga and meditation instructor.
Ah,
And
yeah.
so we were very friendly with our neighbors. This
Mm-hmm.
was in Los Angeles. And she said, "Well, why don't you try a class, see how it makes you feel?" I was open to that, obviously. And so I went to the class, and
Mm-hmm.
we did breathing techniques, and we did yoga movements, and it felt amazing. I said, "Can I come back for more?" And I kept going back. But then I moved to where I live now, which is
Mm.
in San Diego, California, in the United States.
Mm.
And I said, "Okay, now I need to find another teacher."
Yeah.
So I went to the university here, and I found another teacher that was
Mm-hmm.
doing classes within the university. And then after I graduated, I said, "Okay, I need to find another teacher." I needed
Yes.
to carrying on and carrying on. And, I'm into this now. It's part of my life now.
Yeah.
But I
It
like to
becomes
have the
addictive.
Yeah, I like to have the teacher. I like to have the support of the teacher, the guidance of the teacher, the wisdom of the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So at 21, I found a teacher here in San Diego that I stayed with for 17 years. And
Wow.
after that 17 years, I branched out on my own 8 years ago
Yeah.
and became the teacher. But
Yeah.
I'm also still the student
I
because
think
I'm
we
forever
always
learning.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's kind of how it all got started.
Yeah. I mean, starting meditation at 17, that's early for most people. A lot of a lot of the stories I hear, people might have felt different even from they were very young, but getting started on that journey of finding the peace in ourselves, sometimes it only comes later. So
Hmm.
I think that was a gift or a very nice little nudge from life, having a neighbor that could help you get
Yeah,
started.
I know. It was the right time and the right place.
Mm,
Well, it's not that my parents didn't understand that I was, struggling with anxiety, but instead, I was young, so
yeah,
they just sent me to see therapists and counselors, and I'm sure that did fine.
yeah.
And I'm grateful to have had that support,
Hmm.
from my parents.
Yeah,
But that was more of like a play therapy or a talk therapy, when you're
yeah,
young.
yeah.
And there wasn't any, um, it was more talking than technique.
Mm,
And meditation is like technique. You could do a breathing technique. You can, um, the type of meditation that I practice and teach is mindfulness meditation. It's where we focus on breathing. So we
okay.
allow um, our in the moment focus to be our breathing, which is
Mm,
nice. Our breathing is always with us, so we could do it at any time.
that's
At
very
any
handy.
No matter
Yeah,
where we are,
yeah,
we could be like, okay, I think I need to take some deep breaths, focus on my breathing, count my breathing, be with my breathing, tune into my breathing,
yeah,
to get the focus away from all the other stuff and get it into the moment and into the center.
yeah. Get out of our heads and back into our
Yeah,
bodies, maybe.
right. Exactly.
Mm, but
And so, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I I think it's really great to find our own thing, and we all have to do that. So, as you said, therapy and the other things you tried, that might have played a part, but it's not until we find that thing that feels right to us
Yeah.
until
Oh, no, and I'm not saying anything bad about therapy, believe me.
no, no,
I
no, no.
did it, and
And
I, because my parents showed me that therapy is nothing to be embarrassed about as a youngster,
yeah,
I can
yes,
carry on with it and say, "Do it. I am pro therapy."
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
And it makes me happy actually to hear that your parents supported you in that way, because a lot of people, parents, had even less understanding of what anxiety is. So a lot of kids have grown up with, just get a handle on yourself. Come on,
yeah,
don't be so sensitive, and just, what's
and
wrong with you? Come on.
you have to remember that this was in the early 80s. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like now where we're very, ahead of ourselves, and
Yes.
this was back then when,
Different times.
I think, yeah, different times, and I think, therapy back then might have been, or therapists might have been looked at as, "Oh, that's where you go when there's something wrong with you."
Yes. Yes. Now everybody's who's
Yeah, now if you don't have a therapist, there's something wrong with you. No, I'm just playing.
yes, a therapist and a coach and the various other things. At least if you're
Exactly.
serious about personal development and stuff.
Correct,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. But how about the term being sensitive, a sensitive person? Is that something you came into later, or was that just like a natural progression of your experience?
Um, I think it's always, I mean, like I said, I don't have memories so far back,
No.
but um, I think I've always been that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just in my DNA, nature versus nurture, who knows?
Yeah.
But um, I
I
mean, I've always
absolutely.
been, a sensitive person, an
Mm,
emotional person, and
yeah.
I don't recall ever being different from
Different.
that.
No, I believe it's
Even
who
at
we
7,
are. Mm,
at 7 years old,
yes. Yeah. No.
and not even knowing what it is. How do you tell a 7-year-old, "Oh, you're experiencing anxiety"? What?
Yes.
What's
Yes.
that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess we don't need the term for it, as long as we can acknowledge how we feel.
Yeah.
It's just, when I keep asking, it's just because for me, realizing, I remember reading a book about highly sensitive people. I was like, what's that? And then there was this list of traits, and I was like, oh, yep, 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 that one too, yes, and that one. So I realized, oh my God, that was when I noticed that this is actually a thing. There are other people
Yeah.
like me. It's not me being broken. It's actually about 20% of us who are sensitive to some degree.
Yeah, but I think it allows you to tune into other people as well,
Mhm.
which is really good,
Yeah.
um, when I'm working with clients, because if they're not tuning into something, I'm pretty much tuning in it for them. And
Yes.
so, and with the practice of mindfulness and meditation,
Mhm.
I'm very aware and in tune of what's going on with my emotions and my thoughts. So I'm
Absolutely.
not falling into them all the time and letting them take over all the time.
Yeah. I like
So
that
I know other
expression.
people do that as well.
Sorry, I just like that expression, falling into your emotions.
And yeah, so then I can work with other people to build the self-awareness
Mm.
of thoughts, emotions, and tuning into them. And because, like, what I explain to a lot of people is, because we have the mind emotion connection. So our
Mhm.
thoughts are connected to our emotions, and if our thought is something funny, then we might laugh, or if it's something sad, we might feel sad. But if
Mhm.
it's something stressful or anxious, then of course we feel the anxiety. But if we can have that awareness that
Mm.
it's only happening in our mind, it's just a thought.
Yeah.
It's like if we're a kid and we have a bad dream,
Yeah.
we we get up and we're really sure that it's real, and we're
Mm.
so scared, and we're this little kid that it just had this bad dream, and we're so scared when we wake up, and so maybe we run to mom or dad or whoever takes care of us, and we're so sad, but then whoever cares for us reminds us that it was just a dream, it wasn't
Mm.
real, it was in your mind while you were sleeping.
Yeah.
There's no monsters under the bed, there's no monsters in the closet. We turn on the lights, we check everything, and then we go,
Yeah.
okay, you're fine, you're safe, you go
Mm.
back to bed. So it's kind of the same thing, is to say to yourself, well, these thoughts that are really scaring me or making me feel anxious or stressed, that's what they are. They're thoughts. Where do they exist? Only in my mind. So if they're only existing in my mind, then
Mm.
there's nothing to really be um, anxious about, stressed about, fearful about, whatever it is. And then to just kind of like breathe through it and remind yourself where you really are in the
Mm.
moment. Is
Yeah.
maybe you're laying in bed, maybe you're driving your car, maybe you're sitting at your computer at work or wherever you are. And just
Yeah.
reminding yourself where you really are, which is, not the thoughts in your head.
Yeah. I think that's powerful. And especially when we start to realize that when we catch it early enough before we're in a full-blown panic or thought ourselves into a big emotion, that
Yes,
we actually have the power to direct our thoughts.
correct. Yeah, I like to say, so if we have a scale from 0 to 10, where
Mm-hmm.
0 is completely calm and relaxed and homeostasis, and 10 is like full panic attack.
Yeah.
So if we can catch that unpleasant emotion, be aware of it is the big
Mm-hmm.
word. Be aware of
Yeah.
it, be
Yeah.
mindful of it.
Mm.
At a 2 or a 3, we
Yes.
can go from a 3 to a 0
Yeah.
much easily or faster
Yeah.
than if we're at 8, 9, or 10 having to go to 0.
Yes. Absolutely. Because then we're so caught up in it that sometimes I think we just have to let it run its course and then
Yes,
and then start over, as you say, be mindful, do our meditations, and do our
correct.
best to have a calm baseline, is how I like to think of it.
Yes.
That the more stable our baseline is, the easier it becomes, for me at least, to notice and be aware and mindful when I'm starting to dip from my normally calm place.
Yeah, so when we're in the stress and anxiety, we have a
Mhm.
tendency to really focus on it. And what we
Yeah.
focus on gets bigger and bigger and grows and
Yep.
grows, and
Yep.
then it gets worse and worse. So it's to move the focus somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's to say, I'm aware that I'm feeling this unpleasant emotion right now, and I can focus on it and say, why and where is this coming from? And I don't like this, and wasn't it going to go away? Blah, blah. Or
Yeah.
we can just say, okay, I can focus on breathing. I can focus on gratitude. I can
Yeah.
focus on my blessings,
Mm.
and anything to get away from focusing on what's causing the negative
Yes.
emotions. And so,
Absolutely. And I think one thing I realized along the way, because at first I thought, oh, fine, there's tools that you can do when you're in the middle of it. But like with a lot of things, it's about um, prepaving and about, oh, what's the term? But
like
to,
preventative?
yes, yes, thank
Yeah.
you, preventative, to make sure that you don't necessarily get that
Yes.
far into it.
And that's why I say meditate every day.
Yeah.
make it a
Yeah.
practice, the word
Mm. Yeah.
practice every day, even if it's for a short time,
Mm.
even if it's for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, even if
Yeah.
you're feeling super great, do it anyway. Don't only do it when you're feeling out of balance or uneasy or uncalm.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, like you said, it becomes like the preventative. So you
Mm.
don't have to get to that awful place of, like on the scale of 0 to 10,
Yeah.
you don't have to ever get to a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because you'll always be in the lower numbers or even at 0. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
robots. We're going to have emotions. We're going to feel stuff.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
we are in the world, and
Mm.
stress is going to happen. And, the unpleasant emotions are going to happen, but they can happen for a shorter amount of time.
Yes. Absolutely. And and getting to know that in itself is also very helpful, I find, when we have been there enough times at the peak of feeling bad, and we can remind ourselves, okay, I've been here before and then I felt better again.
Yes.
That's a comfort, at least.
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of people will maybe ask, well, how do I get that awareness?
Yeah.
And through the seated meditation. So the
Mm.
awareness, so mindfulness and awareness are essentially the same word.
Yes.
And so we build that awareness by the practice of meditation. And
Yeah.
so we'll build more awareness if we practice every day than if
Mm-hmm.
we're just practicing every other day, once a week, a few times a month, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, like with anything that we need to
Yes,
practice. Yeah.
yes. Like I like to give the example of when I first started playing the guitar, my teacher
Mm.
said, I only want you to play 5 minutes a day. That's all I want, just 5 minutes a day. That sounds so easy. That
Yeah,
sounds very
yeah.
doable. I can totally handle that.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
why I say for people that are working with me, I focus on a lot of people that are beginners to meditation, wanting to
Mm-hmm.
get back to meditation, never meditated before.
Yeah.
And, that's why I say start short,
Yeah.
3 minutes, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at the most,
Mm.
once a day, golden.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. I know that works for me. As soon as I tell myself I have to exercise for at least an hour, then I'm already, longing for the sofa even before I get started.
I know.
But if I'm like, all right, I'll just turn up the music and dance for 5 minutes just to get my energy going, that's doable. And then
Yes.
once we get started and it doesn't feel like an overwhelming chore, odds are much better that we're going to actually do more of it and come back to it, I find. So that's some really useful tips to start small. And I like to think of it as checking in with myself sometimes, even if I don't have 15 minutes to sit and meditate, which I like to do in the morning. But throughout the day, I stop and just become present and like, am I okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Okay, fine. We can go on with our day.
Well, I called, so you said the word stop, and so that got me thinking of the STOP acronym, which I also call a mindful moment.
Oh,
And so if you think of the word stop as an acronym, so the
yeah.
S does stand for stop. So you're going to
Mm-hmm.
stop. You're going to stop
Yep.
whatever you're doing in that moment. The T stands for take a few breaths. So you're going to stop and you're going to breathe a bit.
Mm.
And, you're going to breathe.
Yeah.
The O stands for observe. So you're going to observe breathing, observe thoughts, observe emotions, observe sounds, your body position, your body sensations. You're just going to take this short moment to kind of say, where am I? What's my body doing in this moment?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm at my computer and I don't even realize I'm hunched over at my computer and my shoulders are up to my ears. So I need to lower
Mhm.
my shoulders because now I'm in the awareness. And so you do that moment of observing, and then
Mm.
P stands for proceed and carry on with your day.
I like that. That's also doable.
Yeah, because that whole thing takes about 60 seconds.
Yep. Yep. I think we can manage that for our well-being, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
And like you said, doing the stop for throughout the day.
Mm. Yeah. I like that because I find that it helps me notice things earlier on where I can still do something about it if
Yes.
something feels off. And I like that, like you said, that there's more awareness now in general, and that
Yes.
there's people like you who are trained to help kids from an early age so that they don't have to grow up with crippling anxiety. They get tools early on. I know that
Hmm.
there are schools who put mindfulness on the schedule. I think that's just amazing. Is there anything else or more that you would really like to see in the world that you believe could make it a better future for all of us?
So when you were mentioning the kids,
Mm.
when I first got certified,
Mhm.
I was working with just children,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
would be me and about 8 or 10 kids doing a class together. And then I started to realize how much of this are these little ones actually absorbing? How much of the class are they actually taking in?
Okay.
And so I decided to integrate the parents.
Mm.
So now we have family mindfulness classes,
Even
and
better.
it's where the parents or the caregivers, whoever they are, they join in on the mindfulness for kids class, and
Mhm.
they're taking it in and they're remembering more, and maybe they're even taking notes so
Yeah.
that they can take this back home with them. But
Mm.
also the parents who might be experiencing stress, of
Yeah.
course, are getting a lesson in mindfulness and meditation and breathing techniques and everything that we do
Yeah.
in the class. So it becomes the family,
Yes.
mindfulness in the family.
Mm.
And then everybody supports each other, and it feels good to
Yeah.
be supported. It feels good to be supported by your parents when you're a young kid. And
Absolutely.
so um, I think we're still at a point where, as much as people want to be more self-aware and want to
Mhm.
be maybe more spiritual or more calm or
Mm.
more relaxed, because we're still so trained to not be that way, to be go,
Yeah.
go, go, busy, 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 doing nothing is
Mhm.
lazy. We have to get out of that mindset.
Yeah.
And society puts that mindset on us.
Yep.
And if we could bring mindfulness into the workspace, into the
Mm.
families, into the
Yes.
schools, and make it something like brushing our teeth. You
Oh,
get up
yeah.
and you brush your teeth, you get up and you do some mindfulness practices with, your kids, or your kids just do it, or then they go to school and do it, like they do math and science
Yeah.
and reading and all of that sort of stuff, to make it really normal. Like I said, as
Mm.
normal as I get up and brush my teeth.
Yeah. That would definitely be a healthy practice for all of us.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I like that. And I do like that it starts with families, because I think as parents, the best we can do for our kids is to be aware of ourselves first and foremost, because that automatically makes us more aware of them, I think,
Hmm.
and their well-being. So thank you for that very important work you do
Thank
with
you.
parents and kids. And thank you for being here and sharing your story with us. It's been,
Thank you very much.
yes,
This has been a lot of fun. I enjoyed this conversation.
yes, me too. I'm really glad. And I hope everybody listening in will have gotten a little something as well. If nothing else, they can stop,
Correct.
Yep.
Only takes a minute.
Only takes a minute. Yes. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.
Okay, thank you. Enjoy your day or evening.
Yes.